was gonna make a video earlier this week, but decided to fall on my head and ass instead. Yada yada yada. My ass really hurts today. Instead, we're gonna do a how-to crank arm grind. So the crank arm grind, aka shoe grind, aka the pedal grind, same thing, unless you're Jared Washington. First thing you're gonna have to do is find a rail. Preferably one that's not too tall and not too low, because if it's too low, your tire's gonna drag. If it's too high, it's probably not gonna feel so good if it's your first time trying this. A rail around this height is probably ideal for you. That way your pedal's high enough, but it also is low enough where you won't hit your nuts. When I was first trying to figure out how to do the crank arm grind, Mike Brennan came up with this theory where the tabletop lean thing, it was pretty much the key to make your pedal hook like this onto the rail. So the first step you should probably do is just put your bike on the rail with the pedal and just get used to the feeling of being on that foot. It's going to feel really awkward at first because you're pretty much not used to landing on your foot, but you'll get used to it. Another little tip, if you have gum soles, they're probably gonna be stickier and it's gonna not slide on the rail too well. I had that issue with some old Etnies. Anything with like white bottoms or black bottoms usually are better. Once you get through that step and get over that awkward stage, next step is gonna be having to jump on the rail. I can't emphasize this enough. Don't bunny hop high. Don't bunny hop high. You can start off going towards the rail really slow and just trying to get your pedal on the rail just to get the feel of, you know, jumping into it, because it's gonna be pretty scary and awkward. And this is a thing where you really don't want to bunny hop super high. You don't want to smash the rail. You just want to come down on it gently. It's not like a double peg where you have to actually get your peg height there. Crank height's gonna be way higher. So don't bunny hop high. So for the actual bunny hopping on, I know a lot of people do this grind and they end up going really sideways. I try not to focus on that because your bike pretty much does it automatically. If you're hooking it on right, your bike's gonna automatically just kick out on its own because of the way the pedal is grabbing onto the rail. I try to end up where my bike is around 45 degrees. That way you can actually ride away when you get to the end of the rail. But don't focus on trying to get your bike sideways. Focus on balancing on that front foot, because that's really the most important part. For the actual crank arm position, when you're on the rail, you're gonna approach the rail at this level, but I try to go maybe around like this, not too steep, because when you're like in this position, you're pretty much at a risk of anything could happen, because the rail can just slide right off your pedal, and then you're not gonna have a good night. Keep your butthole tight. As for balancing it, just lean forward a little bit, your head over the bars, because think about it, bike's hanging. You're gonna wanna even out the weight by leaning forward. That way you don't end up on their back like a turtle. But be ready to fall forward or backward, because pretty much anything can happen when you're doing this grind. It's a little bit of a risk. Once you keep doing it more often though, you'll probably have better control over it. That way you'll know what you're doing. When you're coming off the rail, the easiest way is coming off the end. That means, of course, you have to grind the entire thing. I haven't really figured out the pull-over method. It's pretty hard, especially with a peg, which brings me to my next tip. If you're a little worried about your peg getting caught under the rail, take them off. Maybe it'll help you out a little bit, since it's not really gonna save you keeping your peg on. But, you know me, how I always say, play it as it lies.
Those are the rules. I didn't write them.
I'm afraid he's right.
Once you start getting the hang of it, you could start off maybe one upright away from the end, then two uprights, and then I guess try to do the entire rail. It's gonna take a lot of work to figure out exactly how to balance this, but just keep working on it. You'll get there. Final tip to this video, eat sardines, because they're good for you, and they make your breath nice and stinky. Well, that's pretty much it. Just go out there, try it on a rail, keep practicing, because practice makes perfect. Balance is definitely gonna be an issue with this. It's kind of like doing an ice pick grind. You know, everyone has a different peak of what they're comfortable with, so same thing with the crank arm. If you guys have any comments or questions, you know what to do. I'm always glad to help any way I can. And let's eat some sardines. Oh, they're warm. Hey.